My camera keeps... Yeah, well, it's fine. Alright, we're fine. We're live. The stream has started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're gonna play some Dungeons and Dragons. I am Christiana Ellis, the Dungeon Master, and our players tonight, we have Starla Hutchton as Nirakina Ethu.
Greetings and salutations.
Mark Kilfoyle as Alaric Copperbeard.
No, that's just not right.
Isn't it? Jenny Meltzer as Cadence of the Water. And James Meltzer as Ket of the Sands.
Guten Tag.
And we should have Chooch Schubert joining us as Ottercree shortly. Also, note for those of you watching... Oh, look! Speak
Hello.
his name and he shows up. Speak of the Tiefling. Welcome. We were just getting started. And so, note, everyone watching the video, either live or later, that now we have artwork of Jinxie and Zoreth to go with Arwen up in the corner there, just if anyone was wondering what they looked like. They look like this artwork that I found on the internet. So, let's sum up where we left off last time. Well, last time we had most of the party travel through a fissure back to the prime material plane to make a supply run, but also check on the intel that they received that the Spirit of the Golden Plains, which is an enormous, gargantuan, ancient elemental rock turtle, had apparently stomped its way into a city that has people and places you guys care about. And so you wanted to check out what was going on there. You were accompanied by Jinxie, your shape-changing companion, who is joining you because she is excited to see what might happen. As you checked out the place, you found the spirit standing there, apparently in some sort of a trance, and then broadcast to the entire city, you all received a message from a servant of the Fey Queen that identified most of you by name and explained that you were all in the possession of a powerful artifact that you're not supposed to have and demanding its return, promising immortality and treasure to anyone who turns you in. You decided to disguise yourselves before heading into town, and you made your way to this enormous spirit and discovered that a couple of you found yourself entranced by the strange music provided by this Fey message, and it all went crazy, and you discovered that there was a centaur and a walking tree and a little fairy person up on top of the spirit, and they were trying to take you back to the Feywild with them. You guys were not cooperative. It turned into a big fight. You killed them all, discovered that the spirit, now that it was no longer enchanted, decided to basically turn around and go back to where it came from, continuing to stomp on stuff on the way. But what are you going to do? It's the size of a small mountain. And so, that's where we left things with everyone else last time. But the time before that, you had made your way to the Shadowfell and a strange abandoned keep present there. You traveled there with Zoreth, who has his own plans for the Stolen Moment artifact, and Nira decided to stay back with him to help him with his preparations and perhaps other things. And the rest of you went off to the prime material plane. So we're going to pick up as Zoreth and Nira have seen the rest of you head off into the prime material plane through the fissure, leaving you now alone together in the Shadowfell Keep.
Finally.
Okay. So what's next?
Next, we have preparations. I think in order to ensure we have sufficient space, we will use one of the larger bedchambers to prepare an area where we can contain everything that we need to have happen.
All right.
It seems to me that we have two priorities which supersede all others. We must remain hidden from those who pursue us. And then, once we release Melicanth from the gem, we must keep her from escaping.
All right.
Until she can be persuaded to hand over the artifact, at least.
All right. Well, lead the way. We'll get started.
Right. And so, briefly, he guides you just up the hall. And I did make a map of the keep that I showed everyone else, but I'll briefly show everyone here. And we won't stay on the map unless it's needed for tactical, but just so everyone has a sense of the layout of this place. We're currently on the second floor here. So Zoreth and Nira are just outside one of these smaller bed chambers where one of the several fissures are present inside to keep them separate from one another. This is a balcony that looks out over the Great Hall, which is below. So this is all open below. Several bed chambers around here, stairs going down on either side, and stairs going up to the observation tower here. And then on the floor below, the Great Hall and several other rooms. And so, as we begin here, Zoreth is just leading you to this large room right here. So we'll come back to our role play view here unless we have a fight. But he leads you to that room and opens the door, just gesturing inward. And he says, I do have plans for my own magic, but I am curious. What is the means by which your charms function?
Most of my power is drawn from, because I'm a cleric by nature. And the power that I draw from is the spirit of Rushama.
He kind of makes a face when you do that. Not like a little kid, but just sort of a disapproving.
Well, yeah, about that. It wasn't ever something that I asked for, so
Really?
I have mixed feelings on it.
Well, I can imagine. More specifically, though, I was not actually asking about the source of your magic. I referred to the charms which you purchased, I presume.
The bracelets, right?
Yes.
Yes. It was a flail snail shell that we acquired, and some acquaintances of Melicanth's are enchanters by trade, and they fashioned these for us.
Mm-hmm. Do you have more of them?
I believe we had at least one extra on the off chance that we ran into our old traveling companion, Andre. And I don't know what Amethyst did with hers when she vanished.
Well,
yeah.
I suppose it's... can't have everything. I was curious just because although my own means of tracking you did not seem impacted by it, our connection via the stolen moment was how I could feel you, but it does seem effective at keeping some of our other extraplanar pursuers at bay.
That was, it wasn't until Amethyst removed her bracelet that she was taken. So I think, I believe that we're safe from those Fey forces and otherwise tracking us.
Well, I hope at least that our presence here in the Shadowfell will offer some protection as well from the Fey, at least. This place is anathema to them. It is, in many ways, the opposite extreme of the Feywild.
And they seem very focused on the material plane right now. So that may work in our favor, although I wish it wasn't endangering other people, but I mean, like you said, you can't have everything, right?
To be sure, it is where they would expect to find you, but I suppose if they have reason to believe you would be elsewhere, they are not incapable of traveling to other planes. But if they were to pursue us here, I think they would find it a very unpleasant experience, and that would give us some advantage at least.
It was a smart choice.
Thank you. My intent is to use the dimensional shackles on Melicanth once she has been freed from the gem. However, they must be applied physically. And so there is a command word, but she would have an opportunity to resist them. And I do not wish to underestimate her.
Smart. I agree with that. And I don't believe... So, actually, I wanted to ask, what is the function of the shackles? Is it simply to hold her in one place, or does it keep her from using her own magic?
It does not prevent all magic per se. However, it is a physical binding which would prevent the use of any somatic components of a spell, hand gestures and so on. She would be incapable. It would not necessarily stop her from any spell which requires only verbal components, but we could gag her as well.
I'm behind that idea.
What it is specifically for is to prevent any means of traveling away from this plane. I know she is capable of teleportation and of both short-range and long-range versions, and the shackles prevent that from happening.
Well, my concern here is how we're going to get them on her. I certainly can't be the one to do it. She won't trust me. We don't get on very well.
I don't intend to have her trust one way or another enter into it.
So then you've thought of something for that.
I have. I have a spell. It's somewhat like a glyph, but a bit more powerful. I propose we would place it within the room with a trigger based on her arrival. When she is removed from the gem and arrives in the room, it will activate and incapacitate her, at which point we would physically place the shackles on her. The alternative that I have also considered is I have the ability for a time to create a pocket of space in which magic cannot function. This would also prevent her from using any of her magic in the meantime, but she would not be physically incapacitated, and it would still be upon one of us to hold her in place and affix the manacles.
My concern here is that the others might have some reluctance.
Yes. I will confess I was somewhat surprised that you and your friends did not offer more resistance at my offer. I had hoped you would be cooperative, but I will say that I have been surprised by your level of cooperation.
Well, I mean...
You had considered yourselves her allies, had you not?
I think that, well, that's a bit of a stretch for me. Necessary at the time is more correct. As far as the others, I can't speak for them.
Indeed, that was my own feeling. When I worked with her, it was because I felt our interests were aligned, and that allowed me to see past my own personal distaste. However,
Seems like we share that in common.
it would seem so. Although, as a follower of Rashama, I would be interested to hear more about this, because I've never quite understood the nature of a worship so deep that you are granted magic as a result, and yet you seem ambivalent about your own deity.
It's complicated. There are points in time where clerics are chosen from the masses, and people go a little crazy, and there's this big parade, and they all go towards the temple to be chosen, and honestly, I wanted nothing to do with it. Rushama had other ideas.
Was this common?
No. Absolutely unprecedented as far as I know.
Interesting. Perhaps you and I are more aligned than I would have thought.
You seem surprised.
Bear in mind, our first meeting, I stole the artifact from you and you pursued me, interrupted the ritual, and quite a bit of trouble followed, if you may recall. Our encounters since have not exactly been more cordial.
Well, you could have started out maybe a little more civilized. It's amazing what you get just by asking. And you did sort of sick the goblins on us, and I was not a fan of that.
Yes, well, I suppose if I had just asked when I arrived, you would have just handed over the powerful magical artifact that you knew nothing about.
Well, we didn't even know it was there, to be honest.
But you followed me into a dungeon to retrieve it.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
In any event,
Yes.
you mentioned concern that your friends might object.
Well, our two newest companions don't know very much about the situation as a whole. There hasn't really been time to explain it to them. So I'm not sure what it is they know or understand. And they might find finding a woman they don't know slightly disconcerting. But I don't know them well enough to know their feelings about any of it. This is all very complicated, obviously.
Obviously.
The others, they don't share my feelings towards her. I don't believe they fully trust her, but likely more than I do. And she never tried to actively kill us, as far as we know. So it's likely that they might harbor some sympathies, especially if she starts talking.
Well, perhaps the option with the gag, then. It strikes me, then, that the option with the powerful glyph, a magical symbol, would incapacitate her immediately. There would be some possibility if she has the sheer physical vigor necessary to resist the spell, but I suspect that is not her strong suit. This symbol would bypass any magical defenses she may have, and it would simply be down to the strength of her physical form.
There was an awful lot of casting at the time when all of those gems were exploding in the air, and I know she had cast things on herself before she even went outside. Would any of those effects have worn off, or would it be more like she was preserved in her entirety, magic and all, when she was trapped?
Some of these things are not perfectly understood. The interactions of one powerful magic spell with another. But my understanding of the effect of the gem is that it would be dispelling any temporary magical effects she might have on her, but leaving in place more permanent enchantments, which means that I should explain also that any of our options must always keep present in mind that the spell she uses to hide the artifact makes use of a chest which is hidden in the ethereal plane, and it is tied to a small replica of the chest that she keeps on her person. That is what we must obtain from her. If we were to somehow end the spell without having brought the chest back, then the chest could be lost to us on the ethereal plane and would be extraordinarily difficult to retrieve. So, if she could be persuaded to bring it back herself, that would certainly be the easiest. Short of that, we need to obtain the replica chest from her.
All right. Trying to think. I know there's some spells. So much of this I wasn't fully prepared for. There are spells within my arsenal that could be used to compel people to do certain actions. But I wasn't entirely sure what to prepare for today, so that would take me a little time.
Well, indeed, as I have previously mentioned, some of the spells that I have in mind to prepare, making the room invisible to outside divination magics, at least for a time. It is not permanent the way your bracelets are. But preparing that in such a way that it will be ready, shielding the room both from outside divination and from unwanted attention here in the Shadowfell. It will take us a few days, but quicker if you are helping. However, given what we have discussed, I think that the symbol is the better choice, because the anti-magic sphere, although it would be effective in some respects, would prevent us from using any other magical means of persuading her.
I agree.
We would need to be prepared for the eventuality that she is able to just physically resist the spell, even if I find that unlikely. I don't like to leave the possibility open in any way. So, if my glyph fails to incapacitate her, we will need something else.
Right. Did you have a backup plan, or is this something that...
I have some thoughts, but the more members of our fellowship here we can count on for this, the better. If my spell fails, there will only be so many things I can do before she will have time to come up with a response of her own. Whereas if you have something at the ready, prepared to cast as soon as she resists the other, that will give us a better chance.
Something like hold person, perhaps?
Perhaps. Although she is quite subtle. It took a lot of resources to trap her the first time. The mechanism actually involved 3 layers of triggered spells to counter her own counterspell response, and then to trap her once again. And it was possible she could have resisted it then, but did not. And we caught her, but unfortunately, with the magic chest token trapped in there with her.
I find it absolutely fascinating that you're able to come up with so many contingencies, like just contingencies upon contingencies, and I wonder if there's anything that you haven't thought of.
Well, if I knew what I hadn't thought of, I would have thought of it.
I suppose that's true. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Indeed.
Still, you show far more forethought in your actions than most people I've ever met.
I've had a long time to think about it. In any event, the first preparations we must make are to the room, to enchant it and protect it against invasion from any of those who might try to interfere with us. This will take some time. If you want to give some thought to what other spells you might have to offer once the time comes, that would be helpful as well.
I can do that.
All right. And so he works with you and begins to lay out various areas where you're going to be, first removing the existing sort of debris and furniture from the room, making it clean, going through and finding various places where there's any gaps in the rock wall, even just tiny ones, and just sort of sealing it with clay. And then over time, over the next couple of hours, he begins tracing some various glyphs and symbols in the walls and floor. And so that's going to take a few hours at least. And so while you guys are working on that, let's jump back over to everybody else standing there in Ushbithra, having just watched the spirit of the Golden Plains stomp out of the city.
That was a close one.
Something tells me they're not going to thank us for it, though.
No, I think we should probably get out of here as quick as we can, you would think.
Jinxie says, well, just because we closed that portal and the spirit left, that doesn't mean that people aren't going to still be looking for you.
Yeah. We still need supplies if we can.
How long do these disguises that we have on last?
They last for 8 hours. I don't have my watch. I don't know how long it's been.
It's been like maybe an hour and a half.
Okay.
So
we're
we have
good.
time.
Yeah, we're good for a little while. I seem to recall somebody mentioning something about armor.
I had some on order. It's probably not ready yet, especially with the chaos. It was going to take some time to finish making.
How much time is that going to be? You remember?
When you originally got it, it was supposed to be 6 days, and that would actually mean that it would be ready today. So it's been 6 days, right. But that also kind of doesn't take into account any delays on account of giant turtle
spirits.
Yeah.
I mean, can't take time off for giant.
So yeah, it's possible. Maybe they finished early.
We could stop by,
At least check on them, see if they're all right.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, see if he's still alive and working on it.
And we are supposed to be getting supplies.
Yes, chicken.
We need to stock. Yeah.
We need a few chickens.
I think most of the stuff is squashed in the foot of that turtle, mind you.
As far as chickens are concerned, there are a couple not too far away, just running loose from whatever coop or hutch had been.
Well, then I'm going to catch that chicken.
All right.
That chicken.
I think rather than making you a roll, we'll just assume that that's happening in the background while the rest of this discussion is happening.
I'll just act like a since we're disguised, I'll just act like a villager. Come here, you chicken! Come back!
We just have this shot of Otterkey and Alaric and Jinxie in the foreground with Cadence and Ket in the background chasing after chickens.
Perfect.
Yelling at them because they're not cooperating.
I suppose, yeah, we could head towards the market. I mean, we could, head to Carrot and Sticks and see how they're doing, but I don't know that they'd want to see us again.
I kind of want to stay away from them if we can. It seems like trouble when we come in. I am curious about them, but if Carrot and Stick are half as good as I think they are, then they're probably quite safe.
Yeah.
The rest of the friends I don't know about. Was it Prague that had your armor? Or someone else?
That sounds right.
I can. You can make a history check if you want.
Yeah, please.
It's been a stressful 6 days.
Scritcher was a leather maker. Maybe
15.
Yeah, it was Scritcher because you were getting the armor made from the boulette hide, so you went to the leather shop for that. So Prague sold the metal armor and weapons across the street.
Yeah.
So I think Jinxie says, "Are you sure you guys don't want to look up the people that you knew here? I mean, make sure they're okay. There's a lot of damage, obviously."
We might be able to pinch in and help clean stuff up. They don't know who we are. We don't look like who we are. Be a good way to get some information about anything else that might be happening.
Yeah, we've got a few hours to
At least to find out.
Gather information.
Come here, you dirty chicken!
So, I mean, I think you guys are probably agile enough. You could catch a chicken before very long. What are you doing with this chicken that you catch?
I am breaking its neck.
All right, and you're not just
putting it in my bag to pluck later.
All right.
I'm going to carry mine with me alive for later.
All right.
Oh no, another pet.
I will eat it eventually.
On that note, Arwen is getting really restless in your backpack, Archie.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, I could
Definitely. Take her out and.
Yeah, you discover that there's definitely a mess in the bottom of that bag.
I'm gonna need a minute.
So what is the plan? Are we going to see about armor, or are we going to go see these friends of yours disguised as other people and try and get information?
Well, I mean, if Scritcher's the one that has the armor, he's probably one we should talk to.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you have to tell him who you are to get your armor? I mean, he's not going to just give it to a random stranger.
No, but he might give it to someone who looks like him. Right, Jinxie?
Oh.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got Nira's armor by looking like her, but I mean, if the whole idea is... So, okay, so the I see what you're doing, Alaric.
What's that?
See,
You seem
Alaric,
to have skills.
she leans up and like puts her arm around you and like leans down, and in fact, actually, as she realizes how far down she's looking, she actually makes herself shorter, so she's looking you eye to eye. She just says, "Alaric, you want me right here with you, because if I'm not right here with you, you don't know where I am."
If you're helping out, then I know where you are. And if you're taking the form of Otterkey, I know who you are. And you can do some good.
So why am I taking the form of Otterkey instead of you guys just having Otterkey tell Scritcher who he is?
Because he's not Otterkey right now. He looks like an everyday average villager. We want to keep that. Whereas you can look like him long enough to talk to him. And then as soon as we leave the room, you're someone else.
All right.
Safely. Whereas if we drop the disguise now, well, we've dropped one of the few things we've got going for us right now.
Fair enough.
Unless you're not up to it. I mean, your impressions are kind of terrible. They're passable if no one talks to you. But really, I think you could use some work.
Oh, Alaric. Keep trying. You'll manage to insult me properly one of these days.
Figure I don't have to try. The insult's already there. I just
All
have
right.
to look at you.
So, do we have a plan or what?
I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah. I'd appreciate it.
Let's go get some armor.
This creature's just across town, if I recall.
Yeah, not too far. You guys ended up pretty near the park, which is kind of central, and everything looks a little bit different though right now. You think you can find your way? Might need someone to make a survival check to navigate your way there. Someone who had been there before and would know.
Yeah, Ricky.
I'll try.
Can I help him?
Yeah.
So,
You can
advantage?
aid, yeah.
Still not great. 8.
Okay.
I think we turn left on this
I think
street.
it's this way. Oh yeah, this is definitely the right way.
You don't sound sure.
Landscape has changed a bit. The park's a lot larger, extended to the front of the city.
Yeah. You find you realize that you have taken a wrong turn when you arrive at the bazaar, the big kind of open market that's a lot more sort of busy with activity now. It seems like although there's been some structural damage, most of the stuff here was, tents and carts and so on. So it was less a matter of like physical buildings that would collapse into debris, and more just things had to be cleared away. But there's already people trying to sort of get back to normal now that it seems like the spirit has gone, and trying to clean up and see what can be salvaged. And you would gather that some of the people running around grabbing things might be grabbing things that don't actually belong to them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of... It's very chaotic.
I hope the stone giants come back soon.
Yeah.
They're gonna need
Do you remember where this creature was from the bazaar?
Yeah. You can make another check with advantage.
12.
Yeah. You're pretty sure you can get there from here.
Yeah. We should keep our eye out for anything the supervillain base needs.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe
supplies
also,
and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
wonder how Nir is making out.
She's probably making out
What do you mean by that?
now.
No, I'm just, she stayed behind to help. I'm just wondering how, they're making out. I mean, I don't know the
Right.
Zorath person at all, so I'm just wondering.
I tell you guys were coming here to fight a giant turtle, and it was still a tough decision for me to decide whether to come with you or to stay and watch that.
Oh,
Oof.
That what?
Wow.
You don't
You don't think they'll get along?
I think that she likes him, she likes him.
Did she what?
Really?
Yeah, I think that
really
she
likes
wants
him?
to touch him, inappropriately, probably.
Oh no.
I mean, she used to really hate him. I couldn't imagine that. I mean, she's...
The last thing
Well, it's
she...
the whole enemies to lovers thing.
Yeah, and I watched her a lot. She was flipping her hair a lot, and doing this with her eyes.
I know that she's been a little bit strange lately.
True.
Since the stone giant, she's been a bit...
Do you think she's under some kind of spell?
Is that your question?
No. I mean, you guys know her better than we do. Is this normal for her
She
to stay
hasn't
behind
seemed
to help?
that kind of... she's pretty impulsive,
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's definitely seemed off, but not really that kind of off.
Okay.
I mean, part of me wonders whether we're going to find Zorath alive when we get back.
This is true.
Well, I think that he will be alive.
Zorath's pretty good at taking care of himself, but I don't know.
Nira
He might
seems pretty
be-
good at taking care of other people, both good and bad.
I mean, if worst comes to worst, he might just need a really long nap. I think,
Mm-hmm.
I think we all need a long nap after today.
Right?
Oh, I
Frankly,
get it. I
sleep
know
out
what
here.
you're saying.
Frankly, I'd rather sleep out here. That place is kind of depressing.
I mean, I'm just wondering if this Scritcher person gives out screeches.
Well, he's like you, cat person.
Then he would know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jinxie
okay.
turns
Oh,
into
I forgot that
a
part.
lookalike of Scritchers. Is like this.
Yeah.
Oh,
I forgot that part. Yeah, that's.
I'm very
He's,
crotchety and a little crazy.
Yeah, a little
Oh.
less friendly than you guys are, for sure.
Well, now I wish I wasn't wearing a disguise, but unfortunately, there's
maybe-
nothing I can do about that. We're trapped like this for 8 hours.
Well, if you see him, I mean, you could at least ask about his people and where he comes from, and that's
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Well, one thing that you guys notice, Ket and Cadence, now that you're seeing a little bit more of the city and people are starting to come out of hiding, is that this city is very diverse in terms of its racial makeup. There's a lot of tieflings. There are a lot of genasi of various types. There are a fair amount of humans as well, but there's also dragonborn and a variety of other races mixed in. You don't see so many dwarves and not very many halflings, but otherwise races that are tend to be less common in densely human areas seem pretty common here, Tabaxi included.
You should keep an eye out for Portent too, Autarky. You remember one of Doke's friends, the one that told us we'd, kind of predicted the future. I
right.
didn't think she was right, but everything she said came true. She might know more.
Yeah.
Alaric,
Yeah.
how is your weird mechanical arm doing? Is it doing all right? Is it still talking to you?
I mean, it never really says anything,
Yeah.
but you just kind of get the heebie-jeebies or strange feeling. It's like your skin crawling, but I can't see skin,
The sense you get from it right now, as you think about it, is that it feels sort of like happy and relieved, like it's sort of just pleased to be along and doing things.
I think it was stuck in that hole with you guys for such a long time. I don't know. It's like it's happy to be out. I didn't really think a glove would be happy, but I've had to revise a lot of my thinking.
It seems to be pretty useful.
Yeah, and I'm getting used to it, which is kinda creeping me out.
Without your conscious volition, it gives a thumbs up to Cadence.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Oh, you didn't do that?
That's just
That wasn't.
okay.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't do that when I don't want it to. And it's let's just say, whether it wants to or not, it's going to see a side of me that few have ever seen.
So I think after a moment, Alaric,
halftime?
you become aware that Jinxie is staring, and she's just kind of got jaw open, like, "Oh my god, you've got a
What?
sentient arm! That's amazing!
I mean,
I wondered what that thing was."
it's more of a glove, and sentient is that's a lot. But,
You said it feels things.
yeah,
You said it was
yeah.
happy. Aw, Alaric.
I mean, it's more of, when a tool is used well, then it feels its balance better. And, that sort of thing.
I didn't really think about that. If you have like some tool time, is that considered masturbation?
The more I use it, the more it becomes
Sex.
like a second glove, I suppose. The glove fits, and,
I'm just hoping this all turns out to be a very happy ending. That's all.
I'm a dwarf. It takes a while, but we get there eventually.
All right,
Speaking of
so-
getting there eventually,
Yes,
that
about-
conversation happened,
This
and then
Scritcher
the rest of
person.
you are on your way, and you have arrived at where you recall these two shops across the street from one another, the Steel Tusk and the Hide and Seek. But what you see as you've been walking through the streets and recognizing that a lot of the permanent structures in place have suffered a fair amount of damage, and there's just all the ground in many places is kind of torn up or shifted, even if it wasn't in the direct path of the spirit. And as you turn the corner and see where these two shops were, you realize that the hide and seek looks somewhat damaged, like it's sitting just a little bit crooked and the door is hanging open. But the Steel Tusk is a pile of rubble. You guys are still like 100 yards away.
Should make sure he's okay. Jog over.
Is that where we were heading to? Was the Steel Tusk?
The other one, but those two were old friends or enemies or something.
They used to work together. Frog is his name. Half-orc.
Okay.
As you guys are hurrying over there, you actually sense some activity, and what you realize is that it is, in fact, Scritcher frantically digging through the piles of debris over at the Steel Tusk. And he's calling out,
Rod!
Yep. We'll just start helping, pulling out rubble.
There's somebody in there.
Yes, the owner and his daughters, half-orc, and they were in here just a moment ago.
And he's just
I like daughters. Start pulling out some rubble.
So you guys are digging through the rubble. I'll have each of you make...
I'm going to take a moment just to look at the pile to try to get the structural nature of it, kind of
Okay.
the Dwarven heritage thing, if that
Yeah.
helps.
Make an investigation check with advantage.
That's a 20. Total.
Wow. You get the sense, you can tell, taking a moment to study it, that there's sort of two main areas of what this building contained. There was the big the bigger part that was like the storefront part, and then there was sort of like an apartment home sort of area that was private in the back that had actually more like stone construction, and then the bigger room was more wood and so on. So as far as deciding where you it would be more work to shift the stone debris, but it's up to you to decide kind of where you're looking. Scritcher is digging through like the big storefront area.
If I were in an earthquake, which part would I want to be in?
Well, I think ordinarily you would consider the stone part more stable, but clearly this was a severe one enough that it collapsed both parts.
All we can do is dig, and keep your ears open in case you're going to hear anything.
Right.
Is anyone in there? Start hollering to the rocks as well.
Right, everyone who's listening, trying to, so let's have anyone who's actively trying to shift debris make an athletics check, and anyone who's doing more of their focus on trying to sense if they see or hear any sign of them, have them make a perception check.
Okay. So one after the other.
Athletics 27.
Perception 24.
All right.
15 for my perception.
Okay. So I think Archie is making quick work of lifting some of these bigger, heavier pieces, shifting them out of the way to where it's easier to get to the smaller pieces. And Cadence, you do hear what sounds like a grown man, sort of like a pained moan, a little bit of grunting sound under some of the debris in the storefront area.
I will direct Archie towards that sound. I'll be like, he's over there, I hear him.
Okay.
shift over.
Scritcher definitely heads over there too, and kind of just looks at all of you again and just says, thank you for helping. And as you shift a bit more debris, you do uncover Prague, who looks like he's got some blood dripping down his face, and he was pinned under kind of a wooden beam that just had him in an awkward position where he couldn't get any leverage to push it off of himself, and he looks like he's wounded and a little dizzy and kind of just groaning.
I will cast healing spell. I will do Cure Wounds.
Okay.
On him at level 1.
All right.
So, that's
Just say
10. So, yeah.
All right. So his eyes kind of clear a little bit, and you see like the blood stop flowing down his face from this cut on his scalp, and I think with your assistance, you're able to clear the beam off of him and help him to stand up, and he just kind of looks around and says, Ketha, where's Ketha?
Where was she?
Right?
She was in the back.
And he immediately kind of starts going back there to start kind of digging through the stone. And he's pretty strong himself, but he's digging through there. Are you guys helping as well?
I will help.
Yeah.
I will
Yes. Well, many
listen
hands
to
make
her.
for light work, so all of you working together are definitely shifting everything pretty quickly. And then Prague lets out a little gasp of dismay as you uncover, a leg, not like separated, just that's what you see, and the rest she's still under the debris there, and she's not moving, and he's calling out her name,
Ketha, we're coming.
but she's not really moving.
Have we uncovered her enough?
You're
tell
sort
if
of
she's-
actively doing that, and as you kind of are clearing more and more, she's unresponsive at least.
Can we tell whether or not she's alive?
Someone make a medicine check.
17.
She does look like after you sort of check her for a bit, she's definitely pretty like battered, but she does seem to be breathing very shallowly, but she's not awake. She is definitely unconscious.
I will cast Cure Wounds on her at level 2.
Okay. And
So,
so as your
11.
your healing magic channels into her, she blinks her eyes open, takes a deep breath, but then kind of winces at the motion of her ribs and just kind of, what is this, like, oh.
Hold still, you're still trapped.
Eyes.
We're working on it.
What happened? What happened? And
It's a long story.
Is just saying it's. There's time for that later. Just rest. We're taking care of you.
Natural disaster.
Should we get her out of there? Like, I can carry her.
I think you guys have uncovered her now, so she's not pinned or trapped anymore, but she is still, laying there. And all of the furniture that was in this house is still there, but there's really no structure to speak of left. It's pretty much entirely collapsed.
Was there anybody else in here? Did you have another daughter?
No. Thank you, strangers, for helping.
And he, as he's kind of looking around between you, he sees Scritcher, who was standing there with his arms folded, and just says,
Wasn't gonna let you die without having a chance to apologize.
Prague just kind of narrows his eyes and stomps up to him and says, I'd die first. But then, with another moan from Ketha, though, Prague ducks over there, and Scritcher kind of looks at the rest of you and says, "Thank you." And he kind of starts to slink back over across the street.
What's his place looking like?
It's sustained some damage, and you can see as he tries to go in that like everything's canted just a little bit, and the door frame is just slightly crooked, and the door won't close properly. And there's some damage, but it looks like he got lucky, whereas the steel tusk did not.
When he goes inside, I mean, I'm assuming Jinxie doesn't look like Autocree at this point.
Not yet.
No.
But so she's just kind of saying,
Maybe. I mean, is now a good time?
I guess as good as any.
I mean, I think it might be. I don't know. I mean,
you guys want to cash in on the fact that you just helped? Meaning, if I turn into Autocree now,
Yes.
then he just thinks Autocree's showed up. But if we go in and then I turn into Autocree, we can say, "Oh,
Right.
it's disguised, right?"
but I mean, I'm worried that these people are looking for you and their businesses were just destroyed. I mean, what if
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's not think too hard about this.
I'll feel him out. At first, I'll say I'm like an agent,
We
to
can say
pick
you're
up
friends of
armor.
Autocree, maybe. You know Autocree, and he was just wondering if his armor was done. And if it is, then we can say, hey, all right, we're Autocree. Let's
Maybe
get
we'll make the connection. There's a lot of tieflings.
Yeah. Let's go in and feel him out.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that fairy lady did mention you by name, but yeah.
That's my big concern. I mean,
Look, I wouldn't care, but it's me being you, so.
Right.
well,
But I can also
anything
stop being you
happens,
anytime I want. You have to be you.
Not for like 6 more hours.
I wouldn't put it that way.
Well, why don't we go in? I'm going to go in. I'm going to follow.
I'm a confident guy. I like
Jinxie.
myself.
Jinxie, don't worry. If something happens, we'll have your back just like you had ours.
Are you so? Brief DM question: are you trying to be sincere there or no?
Right,
yeah.
Like, we'll have
Well,
your back
right, yeah.
just
So
like you
I'm
had
just
ours.
saying. And it's like, look, I delivered a perfectly serviceable illusion in that fight, and just because they didn't go for it, look, they're not all winners.
That's true.
You tried.
You
and that's
tried.
We'll try. We'll try.
You tried.
our part.
Yes.
One thing.
But I think
Yeah.
we'll be fine.
So, she follows in, and are the rest of you all going into the shop?
Oh, yeah.
I'm definitely going in.
All right. So once you're all in there, and the door is mostly closed, you see Scritcher is actually kind of he's sort of sitting up on the counter with his knees kind of tucked up under him. He's just looking kind of pensive, and he looks up at you and just says, "You're not getting a discount if that's what you think. I just I think my building's going to need some renovations. I can't really afford to give discounts right now."
Absolutely. We understand that.
Jinxie just says, "Not even for," and then she shifts into Otterkey and just says, "Not even for me."
Ta-da!
And Scritcher kind of sort of perks up and just says, "You're back for the armor?" Jinxie says, "Well, naturally, I sent Nira in to get her armor a couple of days ago, but now I need mine too. So figured it'd show up. It seemed like there was a lot going on though, so sorry about that."
I lean into Archie and I'm like, she's convincingly you. Very quietly.
Well, I want to add too, just as a brief thing, that I don't want you guys to judge Jinxie's performance entirely by my own imitation of Chooch, because she is actually very good. And she is
Yeah, I was being sincere.
She is acting a little cavalier, but the voice is pretty. She's nailing it. So he kind of ducks behind and is like,
Well, it just so happens that I finished the armor. And it also just so happens that I am thinking that I could use that 400 gold a lot more than I can use this set of armor. So I figure we'll go ahead and make that exchange. And I just ought to let you know that I think there's a lot of people around here who kind of think that a Fey Queen would give them immortality for you, so...
Can you believe what people believe these days?
Are you saying that as your... your
right, kind of higher voice. Believe these days? Idiot.
And I think, you know, Jinxie, as Autarky just says, yeah, well, you know, we didn't want to do it, but, you know, that Fey Queen just, you know, she just has the best stuff. We just felt like we had to take it. And Scritcher's like,
well, stealing from a Fey Queen seems pretty dangerous to me, but perhaps that's why you need armor.
And so he gets it up on the counter, and you can see that there's like several different pieces. It is essentially a full set of plate armor, but made from this thick gray leather hide instead of metal. And he gets it all out, and it just says,
and so there was 400 gold that you still owed me for this?
Jinxie says, oh yeah, my people will pay you for that.
Yeah, just a minute. I'll get the. I think we had.
Jinxie's doing the thing where like she stands, so she's like checking her fingernails.
I think we had like some platinum bars. That was the balance of it.
Yeah. So I'll say.
I remember.
You guys,
I think we had deducted it when we first said that we wanted to have it made.
Well, remember you paid 400 to start, and then it was 400 on pickup, another 400. Right. So. Yeah. I think you only paid the first half, and but you guys need to control your own inventory.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going.
All right, so you go ahead and you pay him then.
Party treasures, yeah.
All right. So what do you do with the armor? Do you just dump it into a bag of holding, or?
Yeah.
And I think at this point, Jinxie, as Autarky says. So, can you help me put it on right now?
I don't think we've got the time for that.
Well, I don't know. I think maybe we do have time for that. I mean, it's my armor after all. Maybe I should be the one to wear it out, you know? Wouldn't Scritcher here want us to be showing off his work?
It's going to take a lot of time to put that much armor on.
You know, we do have a schedule.
Yes, Autocrete. Look at I mean, we're kind of in a hurry. People, you know, we got things to do, places to go. You know, I don't think it'd be wise to spend all that time putting on some armor.
And you are technically trying to stay low, you know, under the radar.
And the fancy new armor might attract attention, you know?
It might not even fit you after you know, change your appearance to keep from being noticed by the people outside.
Well, of course it would, though, because it's just an illusion.
I'm starting
to think it's suspicious that you guys don't want me to put on that armor.
All right.
It's like you don't trust me.
The big guy gets what the big guy wants.
You're the one always going on about schedules if you want to make us late for everything else.
Scritcher's just looking back between you like,
I can help you with the armor if you want, that's fine.
No, it's okay. You're a busy man. You got things to do.
We would appreciate your help. We want to see how it goes on for the first time, you know, just to get a sense of it.
This is going so well.
I'm going to walk over and heft up a piece of the armor. Is it heavy?
No, well, so it's certainly
That's not bad.
lighter than the equivalent metal would be. Not that much lighter, but what you see that the big advantage of it is that as the pieces sort of brush against each other, they don't have the sort of clanking, scraping sound that metal would.
On second thought, maybe we do want to see how this fits on you. And you haven't had a heavy armor for a little while, and I'm sure that you've built up the muscles still and aren't going to fall underneath all this much weight.
She flexes, and it's bigger than our Otterkeys usually is.
All right, let's do this then.
All right. So, over the next 10 minutes or so, Scritcher helps Otterkey put on the armor.
I'm going to see if I can make it somewhat uncomfortable. A little too tight in certain places. A little not quite adjusted properly.
You notice as soon as you finish adjusting in each place that you made it a little too tight, that it suddenly looks not too tight anymore.
I
I'm
think
going
we
to try to
should.
do a sleight of hand to make it actually quite awkward to wear.
Scritcher, I think, is helping, and he keeps saying, "No, that's not how you do it."
I know Otterkey for a lot of time now, and I know exactly what kind of odd quirks.
Come on! He's clearly the expert. He made this armor. He knows how it goes.
Just trying to help you.
I think we should test it, and I pull out my rapier.
Be my guest.
And I'll take a swing at
Make a
Archie.
an attack roll.
Oh dear. Oh, thankfully I rolled low. 14.
You managed to get right in the middle of sort of a tough, shoulder plate, and it just boing.
Seems pretty good
Pretty
to me.
Quality work, Scritcher.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure to work with such an exotic material, for sure. You mentioned illusion. I only say so just because if people see you coming out of my place, there's going to be all sorts of questions.
We don't want to get you into trouble.
No. Archie.
And,
maybe you should turn into not Archie.
Maybe, yeah, you could,
Oh yeah, no problem. And then she basically shifts back to sort of her standard human-looking appearance. And at first, she looks like she's wearing sort of an ill-fitting set of the armor, but then she snaps her fingers and it seems to, melt into standard clothing.
Screecher,
wow.
before we go, I have a question for you.
Yes, young lady.
Are you originally from...
Are you still an old lady? I forget what you were...
I was like a young, hot lady.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, young lady. How can I help you?
Are you originally from this area, this region right here, or did you travel to live here from somewhere else?
Well, I used to be an adventurer in my youth, so I've kind of been all over the place. I didn't grow up here, if that's what you mean.
Do you mind if I ask where you came from?
I was definitely to the south of here, on the borders of the desert.
I've been doing some reading as of late on various peoples, and I seem to recall reading something about the desert and the emirate. What's the name of that place? Cadence, or not Cadence?
The Emirate Arboreals?
Yeah, that's it. Yes. Have you ever heard of that place?
That's no adventurer in this part of the world is worth its salt hasn't heard that, but no one's ever found it, or if they have, they felt like it was such a nice place they didn't feel like coming back. So haven't seen it myself.
You've never been there at all?
Can't say I have.
Can I make an insight check?
Go for it.
9.
I mean, he seems like he's being sincere, but he's a little bit off.
Okay. All right. Well.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Of course. I would like to wish you all good luck, because if you're traveling with this character, and he gestures to Jinxie, I imagine you have got a lot of trouble in store. And, don't worry, like, I'm a little, I don't want people asking too many questions, but, I didn't like the sound of that, lady, and I think any promises you get from someone like that, not likely to be worth much.
No. Yeah, certainly don't think so. Thank you.
Sounds like wisdom to me.
And I think as you're turning to leave, Jinxie does lean back in and says, just so you know, I don't think we're ever planning to come back here again, but I'm worried that people might disguise themselves as me. So if you ever see me come back here, you'll know it's an imposter. Turns to leave with the rest of you.
You never know. I mean, never say never.
Well, you just verified that it was me, right? So I'm telling you that if you see me again, it's an imposter.
It'll be one of Otterkey's people that comes back, I think. If anyone.
Yeah. Maybe we could have a password or something that,
No, I don't think that's necessary.
All right, let's go. I think we should.
Jinxie wanders back out. And I think she kind of walks out. She shifts a little bit, like, Archie, I think that this armor was an excellent purchase. It's just, it seems like it's pretty good. Yeah. And I bet it's quiet, too. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like it would be.
Yeah, and I have to confess, Alaric, I was skeptical of your plan, but it worked pretty well.
Yeah. Let's
So maybe it was really your arm's idea.
See what
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh no.
Mark may have locked up a little bit, but just as well, because I think I was going to shift us back to Nira and Zora anyway.
So, from before we do that, mechanically speaking, was that a permission to go through my spells and equip different things, or just
no, not really, because it's still, you would still need to do a long rest, and what has transpired has been a few hours.
Yeah.
So it was more just a matter of I was kind of coding that we're gonna cut away for a little bit and let some time pass. But yeah, it still will have only been a few hours. But basically, you guys have been, drawing these various symbols and just essentially preparing this room. And you can make an intelligence check if you like to try to get a sense of, or even Arcana, I suppose, if you want to try to get a sense of what you're doing beyond just the rudimentary facts of what he's asking you to do.
Okay, that is a 19.
Okay. Yeah, so you're definitely able to sense that a big part of what you're doing is making the room to where it would essentially be airtight. And then you're also essentially clearing any sort of debris out of the room so that the various symbols and glyphs that you are drawing on the walls wouldn't have anything like, pebbles that could be scuffed across the markings or anything like that. So there's a lot of that sort of very basic preparation. But the symbols that he's having you draw, he is having you assist with making them and occasionally having you correct little bits of it, and he's showing you a symbol by making it appear on a piece of paper, but you don't recognize them at all. It's might as well be in another language for you. It doesn't, I think you could recognize, though, that it is arcane magic as opposed to divine magic.
Where did you learn all of these things?
Well, some of it I learned from my mother, although her magics didn't come from study, but rather from her patron. And some I learned from the Dark Elves when they saw fit to use magic around me. I was a quick study. And some was just what I discovered in my own pursuits once I was free to search out what I wanted to do.
So you've made a few mentions of things, and it's my understanding, just simply from watching what transpired between you and Onyx at the last meeting. What exactly was the... You said that your mother, Onyx, was her patron, right?
Yes.
What was... How did you fit into that equation? What...
You may not know much about elemental djinns. There's no shame in that. It's not something anyone who has not had occasion to interact with them would likely know. But their nature is greedy in all of the ways that can be expressed, whether it is simple wealth or knowledge or power. They seek to acquire, and they have powerful magics, and it is sometimes their way to choose mortal creatures from the prime material plane or elsewhere and bind them with a contract, giving them a fraction of the djinn's own magical power in exchange for service. These were the terms offered to my mother. And while it is true that all Genasi are said to have Jinn in their bloodline, for me, it is a bit more recent than for most. However, I was not part of the deal. And seeing that my mother wished to keep me, Onyx saw that as a means to extract additional leverage from her. And her price to keep me was to act as a go-between on Onyx's behalf between the Dark Elves and the Demon Lord of the Abyss. This was the ritual that was stolen by Melicanth, Queen Talia, and her adventuring companions, and apparently, somehow, you. This moment was stolen, therefore making the ritual unsuccessful, and then, having considered the ritual a failure, Onyx extracted his price. He decided to extract it from her, leaving me with the Dark Elves, who were similarly unhappy with the failure of the ritual. I grew up there, often tortured, but sometimes granted the opportunity to learn. And eventually I escaped and made it my pursuit to, I suppose at first, what I simply wanted was revenge. I blamed Talia and Melicanth and the others for the failure of the ritual. I thought perhaps by getting that revenge I might impress Onyx and win my mother's freedom, perhaps. I think as I learned more about the nature of the world and the nature of the beings in the multiverse, I came to realize that that would be a hollow victory, and that my mother was probably not in existence anymore to be freed. And so my pursuit changed, and then eventually I realized, with Melicanth, that there were higher stakes in play.
You don't think she's alive any longer?
I don't. Certainly not now.
For what it's worth, I have considerable empathy for what you've endured. Even if it was not something within my control.
Yes, well, it is not something that I overly concern myself with, although I will confess it was satisfying to chase Onyx from his own throne room.
Sometimes it's the little things. But I do understand the seeing a larger picture.
Yes.
Outside of concerns that are, I don't know that I would say trivial, but bigger picture.
Well, to be sure, the fact that restoring the stolen moment, making the ritual successful, I don't know what my own experience of that would be. It seems as though the timeline would reshape itself and perhaps things would turn out altogether differently for me. There have been times when I have thought that is what I want, and I am not sure I've come to a definitive conclusion even in my own mind for that. However, I definitely do not want the multiverse to be destroyed. And to my thinking, restoring the moment without additional meddling seems the most likely path to that outcome.
I agree. But it is more complicated, I think, in just trying to predict what might happen should the moment be restored without any sort of protections in place for... it's funny because I grew up on that mountain, not under it, but over it. And to think that all of that was going on beneath our feet.
Is it not common knowledge amongst your people that the Dark Elves live below? Rushama is surely aware.
Is it? Because I don't know.
I would think no. That's not something you had ever heard before. But he says, I cannot imagine that Rushama is not aware. And in fact, this is speculation on my part. I am not overly familiar with the worship of spirits. But I wonder if your choice, Rushama's selection of you as a cleric, might have been for this purpose.
Rushama doesn't tell me much. or apparently my people either. I had no idea there were dark elves living below the mountains. And as far as I know, it isn't commonly known.
Well, rest assured that the presence of your people is definitely known amongst the Dark Elves. Your names are spoken with bitterness. The legend has it that they wished to live a life free from the tyrannical rule of Rushama's law, and they were banished beneath as punishment.
I've found in my reading that legends can be tricky. It's never as simple as it seems. And I don't have any familiarity with this story, and I wasn't there, but stories are shaped over time by those who tell them.
That is certainly true. I saw it when I was scattered across the plains. He kind of gets a little bit of a haunted look in his eyes here, and he says, "It is difficult to describe the experience, but when I think on what I've seen there, I can piece it together now in a way that I could not at the time. But you're right that legends are often stories told by the winning side. And I confess I had suspected that of any in your party, if any of you would be more sympathetic to me, it was you that I thought least likely to sympathize. Because of your people. High Elves, and Rushama in particular, the Dark Elves were summoning the Demon Lord so that they might destroy Rushama.
Well, as I said, I don't know anything. I have no experience with the Dark Elves. We didn't know anything about them. Well, there may be elders amongst us who have knowledge of it. When Melicanth told me what occurred, when we saw, I didn't realize fully at the time where that was taking place. When there's all these weird time shifts happening. And when I realized what that was, I was so angry with her. Something is very, very, very wrong with my home right now. And I don't just fear for my people, but for what might be unleashed across lands. I mean, multiverse breaking aside, there's so much more wrong. You learn every day, and I've been learning the longer I've been away from home. And people are not always what they seem, and it's always more complicated. So I suppose I can understand from a lack of interaction on a personal basis why you might feel that way. But I know what it's like to not have choices in things. I didn't have many myself. And I don't I don't know what to say. I can't make apologies for things that I didn't know were happening. And
well, indeed, my knowledge of the situation comes only from the Dark Elves, so it was only their side of the story that I heard. And I would be a fool to think that one side of the story gives the whole picture any more than your side. Legends are told by the winners, but that doesn't make them more true or less true than the stories told by the losers.
It's very true.
Incidentally, obviously, this was a serious conversation, but I think over the last few minutes, you kind of become aware that gradually over the last few minutes, even just the heaviness of this place, this plane, feels like it's almost stifling you. You feel almost like there's just a psychic blanket over your heads. And in particular, as you've been kind of continuing to trace these glyphs, Zoreth goes to trace one, and then as he goes to set it, as you've seen him do a couple of times, he does so and then kind of frowns. There is something affecting us.
I feel it too.
I warned all of you when we came that there were the shades we saw down in the ruined city below, but there were also the Shadowkai. They are, as the Fae live in the Feywild, perfectly adapted to it. Shadowkai live here, with all that implies. And I have some wards intended to keep them out, but they may not be foolproof.
You think there's one nearby?
I think it's possible. I don't know that they are necessarily hostile. I do think that their goals would be in opposition to ours, but that does not necessarily mean a fight. He's looking around and just kind of looking sort of pensive as he's blinking and kind of trying to glance around. And as me, I'm trying to remember what spells he might use in that sort of situation.
I am taking no action, and I will follow his lead.
Yeah. I think he does, for a moment, just make a simple gesture and speak a word under his breath that you don't recognize. And then when he blinks his eyes open again, they seem just a little clearer. And he just says, at least for the moment, they should have no ability to cloud my mind.
All right. I don't have any similar things that I can do for myself, but I'll just try to stay out of your way as best I can.
To be sure, if there is one here, or more, we will need to deal with them. I don't think there is any ignoring that we can afford. Do you have any means to sense the presence of hidden or invisible creatures?
Well, I have a particular ring that might be of use.
Indeed.
So I will take off the ring, and it allows me to see through illusions. Is that correct?
Yeah, so strictly speaking, what it does is give you an advantage on intelligence checks to spot illusions. But we have, even though I didn't write it in the original item description, we have used it in the past to let you see invisible things.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and officially rule that yes, it can do that. You have used it for that purpose in the past.
All right.
And indeed,
This-
as you are, you get it, and you just kind of you're looking around. You're still in this sort of large corner bedroom room, and as you're kind of just turning around to look, you turn, and there is a figure just standing right there, like just among you, and it is dressed in. It's a little bit hard to describe because at your first thought is that it's tatters, like rags, but then you see that it doesn't look damaged or worn. It looks like it's supposed to look like that, and the face is like wizened and sort of shriveled a little bit, like an old elderly person, but the body looks healthy and strong, and they're carrying a spear that just looks like it's made of just black, but it's a like a hole in space shaped like a spear, that it's just along its back, and it has long white hair.
Is it looking at me or at him?
It's looking right at you and kind of, squinting its eyes at you as you look at it through the ring. And then as you react, well, so here's the question. Are you going to make an effort to not react? Or are you going to just go ahead and go, ah?
I'm going to make an effort not to react.
Okay. So I would say make a performance check. With disadvantage because I don't think you were necessarily preparing to.
Nope.
Yeah.
Let's see, it was a +3, 18, actually.
Okay. All right, so I think then you, let me, I'll have it actually make as you kind of peer around with the ring, you do a pretty good job of not reacting, and it continues to kind of just stand there watching.
So, say that we had company. What would be the procedure?
Did you see something?
I can't pass him the ring because it requires attunement, so...
So I think after a pause, he's a smart guy. He kind of will just say, I think that our best course of action first would be to avoid a fight if possible. And so perhaps we should declare our intentions should any Shadowkai arrive, that we mean no harm to anyone in this vicinity and simply wish to be left to our own devices. And he's kind of looking around the room like he's thinking there might be something here. This figure, like if you're not still looking through the ring, you can't see it at all. But when you glance through the ring, it doesn't seem to have reacted.
And if that, say, didn't have any effect on our company, what then?
Yeah, the figure. Are you still looking through the ring, or have you put it down, or what are you doing?
Well, I just kind of like the idea is that
I'm not going to describe what the figure is doing if you can't see it. Is my point.
Yeah, well, I'm just kind of like the idea is that I'm just holding it up to appear like I'm just like studying the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But so maybe just like moving it a little bit, letting it catch the light. But
I think after a moment, the figure does kind of take a silent step back, and then you hear kind of a harsh whisper just say,
The Mistress of the Dark is unhappy with your lack of tribute, and you should consider your actions wisely before proceeding with any course of action that will lead to the Mistress of the Dark's unhappiness.
Kind of like to lean in slightly closer to Zorath.
I think you both hear that. That's yeah.
Well, do we have anything for tribute purposes? What sort of thing?
He kind of looks around again and just says, "We had no intent to insult the Mistress of the Dark. What form of tribute would she seek?"
It is up to the offerer to decide the offering, and to the receiver to judge its worth.
I'm looking through what I have, and I don't have much.
One of your deaths would be sufficient.
Yeah, I don't.
I think we're going to cut away from that for a moment and jump back over to yeah. So back in Ushbitra, you guys have left the hide and seek. Jinxie is wearing Otterkey's new armor. What are you guys up to now? What have you gotten up to in the last half an hour since then?
So I think we should either shop for supplies or go get a beer and a short rest.
You want to go back to that inn?
I mean, technically, other than the cure wounds spells, I don't think you guys have really done anything since you had the long rest. But
Did we take a long rest?
Really?
Yeah.
Pop a big turtle?
you guys had no. Oh, you're right. You're right. Since
We
the
walked
turtle,
away,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
You're right.
I'm down a lot.
Okay, my apologies. I forgot.
Oh, do you need
I'll
some?
be happy to click that button, though.
Yeah, no.
Do you
No,
need
you're right.
some healing there, Archie?
Why don't we? Yeah, why don't we go
I mean, let's
take a
load
short
off.
rest? Yeah, let's take
Yeah.
a load off, man. Let's have a drink. I'm
I
sure
want-
Nira's
I
fine.
don't know.
back
I
there.
feel like I could take on the world right now.
Well,
Maybe we
'cause
can
you're
get,
an idiot.
get in a fight at the tavern.
yeah, maybe we could cause some ruckus at the tavern.
You can try it out.
Yeah. You want
Then
me
we'll
to show
get
up as you
supplies.
there too?
No,
No.
not particularly. No.
Do you have
Thank
a
you.
specific
Thank you,
tavern in mind, Otterkey?
No. I mean, just no. Anywhere that's close.
I wonder, as long as we're going for some drinks, maybe we better make sure that we drink in moderation. What do you think?
I mean, no. I mean, I don't really. I mean, we could go anywhere. Sure, fine. Yeah, let's go there.
I'm so confused.
She has a sneaky grin as she kind of just sets off in that direction.
Something tells me she knows the city just as well as we do. Besides, it's not like you're going to see her again. Well, I mean, you aren't going to see her.
She won't see me.
Yeah, really.
Dang.
So,
I mean, that could be a whole new experience.
if incidentally, I think that if you guys, when you get to where you want to buy supplies, we don't need to role play that whole transaction. Just kind of tell me what things you would be looking for, and we'll assume any sort of normal stuff you could get, and we'll we figure it out that way as opposed to role playing that whole thing. But if you want to head over to moderation, then sure.
Yeah, let's go have a drink and take a tiny rest. I hope they- Do they have milk at this
Not rest.
place?
I hope so.
I think they did, because isn't that what Doak had?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, I'm down for some milk.
Are you really? Is that an in character? Because that's not what Doak had, but sure.
I know that's what told them to have.
Yeah. Alas, though, as you guys approach to where moderation is, you discover that building has been heavily damaged, and it looks like the roof has collapsed.
Ooh.
Like, it's not a total pile of rubble, but it's in pretty rough shape. All things considered.
Like we'd probably have to climb up and in through a window to get inside.
No, it looks like the door is actually propped half open, but it does look like at least part of the roof has collapsed into the interior.
I think they're closed.
Yeah, I'm guessing they would be closed. Wow.
I hope everybody's all right. Wouldn't want anybody to lose their modesty after all. Is there anybody?
Jinxie kind of
Have
says,
a quick look in.
"Oh, well, sure, yeah. I mean, I would just love to meet a friendly bartender."
I'm more fun than the others.
And so I think as you peek in, you see that Modesty is actually in there. Kat and Cadence, who have not met her, this is a tiefling woman who is the owner of this particular dive bar, because it definitely is. It looks like it was a crappy place before the roof caved in. So, but at the same time, what you see is that Modesty is there, looking pretty like she's been mussed, like her clothes are pretty dirty, like she's been crawling around, and you see she's got kind of a makeshift sling on her arm, and she is trying with her good arm to use a push broom to start sweeping stuff off the floor, and it's not going very well because it's obviously her bad arm, and she's cursing a little bit as she does it. And she, I think she sees you all come in and just kind of says,
Oh.
if you want a beer, we're also offering donations for the renovation fund.
Wow. Well, just happy to see you're okay. Okay.
Do I know you?
No, common face. We've been in here before, I think, some time before, but
And
you are
then
serving.
Jinxie turns and says, "Really? I thought you said you knew her very well."
Me? No.
Look like you're struggling with that broom. Maybe I can take a load off. I got two good hands, after all. And I'll take the broom and I'll proceed to sweep for her.
She gives your metal hand kind of a little bit of a raised
it's
eyebrow,
illusory
but
now.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Never
it looks
mind.
normal now.
She definitely offers the broom and just says, "Yes, thank you." Yeah.
I mean,
He's thirsty. I think he wants to free up your arm to pour some ale.
What is your DC for the seeming spell, Ket?
Let me just check on that. Spells. It is 16.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that is like an illusion spell that
yeah, anybody that's looking really close, a creature that uses its action to inspect the target and makes an intelligence check against the spell save DC. If it succeeds, it becomes aware that.
Modesty just rolled a 19.
Okay.
So I think as she was sort of squinting at you, Autarky, just to kind of say wait, do I know you? And then I suddenly go, what are you doing here? What happened? What is? Did you? The message said it was you guys who they were looking for. What happened?
Total misunderstanding. Really.
Okay. So what? what was the misunderstanding that led to half of our city getting crushed?
I mean, that was all her. You know, I mean, the spirit normally stays out there in the plains or whatever, but yeah, I guess technically we did kind of steal something that was hers, but we didn't know what it was or that it was hers.
Okay, so Spirit walked away, but like,
You're welcome.
is it gonna
Yeah,
come? Wait,
it should not come back at all. No.
I think once she resisted the spell once, she sees through it for everybody, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, she doesn't need to make a separate check for each person, I guess, is what I'm getting at. So she definitely recognizes you, Alaric, too, and just kind of says, wow, that's a doozy of a... Yeah, you guys look like completely different people.
Yeah,
I don't think I
sorry
know
for the
you, and
subterfuge.
she's looking at the at the rest of you. Just kind of. So I mean, look, I don't know what happened. I don't think I would trust that whoever that was making that message. The music that was playing, that music's making people crazy.
Yeah.
You got to get out of here.
Yeah, that's the whole disguises and whatnot. But we,
well, yeah, but so
we-
I mean,
maybe take a nice, maybe just a quick bit of refuge in a.
Otter wanted to check to make sure you were okay, and we thought that was a decent idea.
We'll be on our way and won't
she
cause.
kind of gestures at her arm. Is like, well, it turns out that someone caused a giant spirit to come into our town and cave my roof in and break my arm. So, not
bitch.
super okay, but
You're alive.
make a persuasion check, Archie.
I'm good at that, actually. 18 plus 8. 26?
As you kind of you say, just for the time, she kind of looks at you and just says, well, I mean, I guess you're disguised, so it's probably safe. I mean,
We don't want to cause any trouble, you know. We just need to catch our breath.
So I mean, come in. I can. Some of
I'm
the
gonna sweep
casks
behind
aren't
the bar.
smashed, and
I'm going to sweep behind the bar and see what I can find.
okay, yeah. So I mean, you find some stuff back there. There's there's definitely a lot of broken glass, but some intact still. There's various, mugs and so on back there. There's a couple of, again, part of the bar is, collapsed under some of the fallen roof, but there's other stuff there. There's a few small kegs that are undamaged, and there seems to be some kind of a wand underneath. But as she sees you kind of back there, she's just kind of like, yeah, so,
I found it. I can pour.
you guys
no
want a
problem.
drink? Yeah,
I won't
okay.
even charge you for it.
Yeah, that's funny.
Did you say that your arm was broken?
Well, it sure feels that way.
Here, let me
gonna
help
ask.
you. And I will cast Cure Wounds on her at level 1.
Okay. All right.
She gets back 6 points of health.
Okay. I think with that, she feels a little better. She kind of moves her hand a little bit, says, but it's not like completely 100%. It's like, thanks. It takes the edge off for sure.
I
So,
cast Cure Wound.
I know.
Maybe I can help a little more. I can do a cure wound also.
Oh well, hey, everyone's.
I'm sure our friend there has the touch you need.
So I mean, what
11 points.
do I? Thank you. I appreciate that. And she definitely, her arm looks more or less, it's. We haven't really dealt with like broken bones per se. She's better. I've decided she's better.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, I'm gonna
It's a
ask
little
you
frothy,
guys.
but it tastes okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you guys a straight up question here, and on the basis of the fact that I'm letting you take a rest here, and on the, history that we've got, such as it is, give it to me straight. Like, do I even want to know what's going on with you guys, or am I better off just letting you
It's
rest a while and then move on?
Yeah, probably better off just not knowing anything.
Given your standard clientele, I suspect asking fewer questions is something that you'd probably recommend yourself.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You have any milk?
maybe.
Not for me, but for those two.
I would really,
Yeah,
I would really
okay.
like some
And
milk.
she kind of just squints again. It's like, sorry, it's just that illusion's like, it's like seeing double. Yeah, okay. Are you guys hooked up with these jokers?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck with that. She kind of goes around the back. She's like stepping over some fallen shingles.
Yeah, I got it. What do you need?
So, well, you following her into the back room then?
Sure.
All right. I think that she does have what looks like a small little chest that has like frost glistening on the outside, and
Nice.
she just opens it up. Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate the help, but they fixed my arm, so I'm not an invalid here. This is my place.
Hey, I just want to help where I can.
Well,
Plus,
okay.
I
Look,
want to run out the back door or something.
I don't want to give you a hard time for offering to help, but I got it.
We pay for it. We're not just mooching here.
Well, like I don't even know what to make of all of this right now. I haven't even been out there. Like, how much of the city is standing? Like, what's going on? I heard people say the spirit walked away, but
Lucky thing is, it sort of walked out the same path it came in. The bad part is, it took a lot out of the city when it walked in.
It was contained destruction.
wow. Okay, well, I guess I need to stop asking questions because that was that's yeah. So I will just give you guys the heads up though, and she basically pulls out like it's a clay jug, but it's cold, and she does pour some milk for the two of you. Do you want it in a? She kind of says, "You guys want like a glass or like?"
Yes.
I mean, I get tabaxi in here, but when they're coming here, usually they're ordering alcohol.
Do you have bowls?
Yeah. Get some bowls.
Thank you kindly.
Sometimes we would drink alcohol, but it has been a very long day.
So she definitely offers you the bowls and just kind of says, "All right, so here's the deal. I have a good feeling about you guys, and I usually trust my gut on these things. And
I thought it was just for him.
well,
Otter.
I mean, I'm not saying that
Catch
was.
your stops there.
Yeah, look, I'm just saying. If you want to get into that, then we can do that. But I was going to try to sum up and allow this to not be awkward. But, whatever you guys want to do. Well,
Non-awkward's great.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But
I've
Preference.
got a beer. I could stand for this for a little while longer.
Thanks a lot. All right.
so
All right.
my point is, you guys are obviously in huge trouble. And, no offense, but I would certainly appreciate you guys trying to keep that trouble far away from here if possible.
Indeed.
Like, I hope you guys work it out, but this is pretty bad. So, and I want to warn you that that music's making people crazy, and You remember those two orcs that were in here when you last came through? Like, they heard that music and immediately started talking about how they remembered seeing you guys, and they ran out to look for you, like that. It was just they turned on a dime when they heard it.
Wow.
You're okay though.
Yeah, I mean, the music is like something. There's something about it, but I don't know. It did something to them that it didn't do to me. I don't know. But I'm just saying, there's going to be people looking for you.
Yeah.
So the disguises are a good start, but probably better.
Definitely.
I have a question for Ket.
I have an answer for you, Cadence.
Do you still feel like turning our friends into the Feywild?
The music is, you kind of, if you think about it, you can sort of feel like it's very easy to call to mind, like, you know, just sort of like a very familiar, catchy tune, but you don't feel any sort of a compulsion from it at the moment.
No, I mean, I still feel, you know, a little wonky up in my head, but no, I don't feel like turning anybody into the Feywild. No, not at all. I mean,
I wonder if it will start to pass for the other people as well.
Well, I'm hoping when we get back to, you know, the keep and everything, I can talk to Nira and maybe she can do something about that, since she's, you know, supposedly a cleric.
Yeah, my hope is it would pass with time pretty quickly once the instigator was gone.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe when we get a chance to go to sleep and maybe, you know, really rest rather than just, you know, little short rest. But we'll see.
I wonder if lesser restoration would make it go away.
Well, don't
No,
worry about that.
I'm just curious. I mean,
well,
in general.
that's why I would like to talk to the, you know, Nira and see what she can do.
Have we seen more of those roaming bands of people looking for us?
There's been a fair amount of activity as people have come out and are kind of assessing the damage and doing various things, and you haven't seen like an obvious roving band like that before, but it's also just there's a lot more activity in general, so it wouldn't necessarily stand out as dramatically either. Because before the streets were deserted except for those guys. Now there's kind of a lot happening.
I mean, I think that it would be a good idea to take advantage of the chaos right now to kind of get out and get back to what we need to do after we get some supplies.
There's an idea brewing in my head. I don't like the idea that there are people running around here still looking for us. If we can see the rumor that we've left, it might help. My other worry is people might just go in that direction. But I'd like to quiet some of this if I could.
Well, I mean, my own advice, if it were me, would be to try to just avoid trouble. But, hey, whatever you guys want to do. But I would say if you're going to try to do anything to attract any attention, maybe go outside first, if that's all right. Yeah.
I was simply sewing the room, not causing a ruckus.
Right. I think at some point Modesty discovers Arwen and is very fond of her, cuddling up with her. And I think we'll go ahead and let that short rest sort of, you know, proceed. So you guys are having a short rest, and we will cut back over to Zoreth and Nira.
Can I interject before we take the short rest? Is anybody spending hit points or hit dice to?
I have.
Definitely.
Okay, then in that case, I would like to do a Song of Rest, and just sing a quick song so you get a little bit extra back. Because I got Song of Rest, and I can give you an extra 1d8, you know, hit points back if I do Song of Rest. We're all singing.
So how are you doing Song of Rest? What are you doing? Like, you don't have to sing necessarily, but yeah.
No. I'm totally ready to sing a song. So while we're all just kind of sitting around and you know, resting and whatnot, I'll just pull out my my viol, and I'll just be like, farewell and adieu to you, oosh, Bithra ladies. Farewell and adieu to you, ladies of Oosh Bithra. For we've done enough damage, and now we shall go. But we hope in a short time you'll forgive us again. And you will get back 7 hit points in addition to what you rolled.
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice.
All right, so, oops, that's the wrong map. So we're gonna shift back over to Nira and Zora, and I think that this, so this figure is still invisible, except when you are looking through the ring. But the last time you caught a glimpse of it through the ring, Nira, its body language suggested it is wise to that trick now. And it is basically, you hear a little bit of movement. It's very quiet, but it's clearly attempting to now move to stay out of your line of sight. And it just says, "An offering must be made quickly, or else a warning must be issued."
Look at my compatriot here. Like, what do we do? Don't you dare try to kill me. I say that with my eyes. I'm not dying today.
He kind of shrugs and just says, "There's trying to make an appeasement offering, and then there is also demonstration of strength. I don't personally have anything I am willing to give up at the moment."
Yeah, nothing's really coming to mind for me either.
"The decision is made then." And we're going to roll initiative.
Yeah, figured that was happening.
Doggy.
Let's see.
All right, and let's go to the map.
It's an 8 for me.
All right, so you guys are both in here. Oops, that's not the right token. That is. So this is you and Zorath up here, and currently your opponent is invisible. And I'm gonna switch us to some good combat music. Where's that one? One moment as I try to get this. I can never find this one when I want it. All right.
So, Lara, can you do a little bit of that prestidigitation in my backpack here? I remember you seem to have a talent for cleaning things.
So, we have the two of you here. Did we get initiative from you, Nira?
8.
8. Okay. All right, and oh yeah, I have to control Zora.
No one controls Zora.
Okay, literally all three of you rolled super low with initiative. So, believe it or not, with your 8, Nira, you are
gosh. Shit, I don't know what to do. Well, I don't know where it is, so first I have to look for it.
And incidentally, you are still feeling this sort of weight on you.
Right.
And I'll just go ahead and tell you. I'll tell you when you feel it and when you don't. But at least for right now, what it means is while you feel it, you have disadvantage on all saving throws.
Okay. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to use Guardian of Faith.
Okay.
And because that should hit just about everywhere in the room.
I think it does, but remind me, you have that spell description handy?
Where are you? I just had it.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to make sure that
let's see.
Does it?
Any creature hostile to you that moves within 10 feet for the first time on a turn must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 20 radiant damage.
Okay, and it doesn't have any limitation of like it's invisible and the Guardian can do it.
I don't see any. The target has to make a dex saving throw. So
all right, yeah. So it it will make a dex saving throw. It gets 14.
Needs a 16.
All right, so that is 20.
20 damage.
20 radiant damage.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you feel that spell has, so I guess on its turn, but its turn is going to be in a second here. So are you taking any other action or bonus action or movement or anything?
I don't think. Does looking through the ring count as an action or movement or?
I think that if you want to be, if you want to try to be looking through the ring to do stuff, you're gonna need to. Yeah, I think you need an action to be able to search the room through the ring.
That's why I used Guardian of Faith, because I was like, can do that blind.
Okay. Yeah. So it is this enemy's turn, and it does take that initial damage from the Guardian of Faith. But then it appears immediately right next to I think. Yeah, I think it appears just right in between you two, and it takes this spear and it's making one attack against each of you. That is a 23 against you, Nira.
That hits.
Okay, and that is where's my d6? That is 9 piercing damage and. Ooh. So 9 piercing damage.
This can't be good.
And 28 necrotic damage.
Oh.
You said 28 necrotic damage?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just feel like as this spear pierces your flesh, you feel like it's like the spear is made from the vacuum of space and it's just sapping your life force.
Is that considered a melee attack?
Yes.
Then I would like to react with freaking where the heck is it? The Wrath of the Storm.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Is that what it is? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes a dexterity saving throw.
Yep.
All right. It gets another 14, which is a very low roll for it, actually, but.
So it takes 6 lightning damage.
All right.
And that has a pushback effect.
It does, yeah.
Is it visible now, or is it still invisible?
It is visible now. It turned visible when it made the attack. Yeah. So it turned visible. It was pushed back. It does still have an additional attack though, so it does move up and makes its attack against Zorath. Which is gonna be where is his AC? It's a 14, which would hit, but he suddenly whispers a magic word and an arcane shield appears around him and it deflects the blow. And then it also reaches and points over towards you, Nira, and casts a spell. Where's... I had it a second ago, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. Okay, so it is going to... You need to make a Constitution saving throw.
Do I have disadvantage?
Yes. Wait, no. Yes. Yes, you do.
It's not a charm, is it?
No.
Okay. So that one isn't... you said a wisdom? What did you say?
I said Constitution.
Okay. So that is a... Let's see, hold on. First one was an 18, and that one is a 7. So that's a 10 total?
Okay, yeah, that's a failure.
Yeah, figured.
Alright, hang on. You're going to take more necrotic damage here in a second.
Awesome.
Alright, you take another 29 necrotic damage.
Oh my gosh.
As you just feel like it's just sapping, just stealing your energy, your life energy. Alright, that is its turn. And Zorath just says, "You like the warmth of life? Try the cold of death." And he's going to extend his hands and cast Cone of Cold. Which it makes a Constitution saving throw. And it gets a 9. It's rolling pretty low with its saving throws right now. But that's a failure. So Zorath... wow. Really? I don't... Okay, I'm gonna get a dice roller for this. Hang on. Okay. Oh, no, that's definitely not right. Alright, where's this? There we go. That's what I thought. Okay. Once you're starting to roll more than like 4 or 5 of a die, that's... Alright. Yeah, so he extends his hands and you see just this blast of like frigid air shoot out from his hands in a cone and envelop this thing, and frost suddenly starts to crystallize all around it, and you see it just immediately reacting from this cold, and it takes 36 cold damage. So it's pretty hurt by that. And it's taken some significant damage from the two of you. But that brings it back around to your turn, Nira.
God, I can't take another hit like that. It would kill me.
Zorath is not so much of a healer. You might.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm down from like 88 to 22. So I don't really have too much of a choice.
Yes, really.
I'm going to cast Heal on myself.
Okay.
So didn't leave me a choice. Okay. So yeah, doing that.
All right.
And that gives me back 70, so I'm full up now.
Okay, moving or doing anything else like that?
Yeah, I will back up a couple squares.
Okay. You find as you leave this radius of 10 feet or so that that extra heaviness you were feeling lifts. So you are no longer at disadvantage on saving throws. All right. That makes it its turn again, and so it takes another dexterity saving throw, right, against the Guardian of Faith?
I don't think that might actually just be the first. I think it's just for the first turn.
Well, I mean, the Guardian of Faith stays until it's given out 60 damage, right?
Yeah. It says moves to a space within for the first time on a turn.
Yeah,
Must
but if it
make you-
starts its turn in that area, it's within that space on the first time.
Okay, then yeah.
I think
yeah.
if it stays in the area, it takes the damage again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but
But
it
yes,
gets
it
to
needs to
make
make
another
it-
dexterity saving throw.
Yes.
That's more like it. That's a 22.
Well, it still takes 10.
Yeah. Okay, and it is its turn, and it is going for Zorath with both Shadow Spear attacks. And it's going to get a natural 1 for the first one. It is so cold, you guys.
Lost its grip on that spear.
It rolled 2 natural 1s in a row.
Does it stab itself?
No. But I'll say it drops its spear. Its hands are shaking. And it just drops, and you look like one of its fingers actually falls off like frostbite. But it does actually let's see. It's going to cast another spell on itself, though, and then reach out to touch Zorath. Oh, and that is a natural 20. So, funny how... 1/120. All right. Okay, so that's going to be... 3... 13... And then it's double, right? So 16, 17, 18, 23. So Zorath takes 23 necrotic damage, and you see some of this thing's wounds, like some of this like frozen frostbite quality to it, starts to heal up. So it takes. All right, that is its turn. So now it is Zorath's turn, and he is gonna. Yeah, let's see. He's gonna try this. He's going to whisper a few magic words, and he's going to cast a spell, and which wisdom saving throw, I think. Yeah. It makes a wisdom saving throw. Oh, and it succeeds, so the spell fails, unfortunately. And Zorath whispers
Pouts.
a word that you think is probably a swear in another language. All right, so Nero, that's back up to you then.
Right. Well, I am going to cast Guiding Bolt this time.
Okay.
And that is a ranged spell attack.
Yep.
Okay. It's a plus 11. Damn. That is a
It's
25.
that one of the War Mage, remember?
Yeah, it's a
extra-
25.
Yeah, that hits.
All right, and so it takes 4d6. Whoop, come back. That is 11, 14. I think that's right, right? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Radiant damage. If that
Okay.
matters.
So 14 radiant damage.
Yes.
Yep. All right.
And it's sparkly now.
You get the sense that it would be sparkly, but as you see it take that hit, it's gone. Yep.
All right. Well, as a bonus action, because I don't know, we're out of initiative, I'm going to cast Healing Word on Sora.
Okay. Yep.
And that is a keep clicking off of stuff. Okay. Healing word is 1d4 plus 4.
All right.
So that's 8.
All right. So you see him sort of straighten up a little bit in response to that, and he'll just kind of say, I'll confess that is the one aspect of divine magic that leaves arcane somewhat ill-equipped, that of just restoring life. I do know a few spells capable of stealing it, but not just granting it.
Well, I'm more than happy to help.
Does the ring show you it's still in our vicinity?
I will take a look. Scan the area.
It doesn't appear to be in the room.
It seems to have gone, but whether it was a retreat or it intends to come back or bring reinforcements, I couldn't say.
Who can say? Perhaps we'll find out next time. We'll draw this session to a close for tonight. So, thank you, everybody. Thanks for playing. Yay!
Yay.
Looks like it was mostly you guys in the chat, but that's all right. Still have Mother Dragon in there, looks like. But, thanks for playing, and everybody, thanks for watching and or listening, and please help spread the word if you can, in that, all sorts of ways you could do that. You can follow or subscribe on the Twitch channel. You can like or leave comments or subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can just iTunes reviews, comments, Twitter. All of these things are excellent ways to show your support and help spread the word about the show, and we will appreciate every one of those things.
Yeah.
I promise. It's a guarantee. In the
Not
meantime,
a jinxie guarantee either.
No,
a real
Real one.
trust me. So that'll do it for this time. Thank you, everybody, and we'll be back next week for more adventure on so many levels.
Levels.